is called Mana Prasada. And Mana Prasada, Srila Prabhupada translates as serenity. And so that's our austerity. And not to stand in ice water up to our neck or to sit surrounded by fires, but to starve ourselves or to twist ourselves into knots physically, but the austerity and the mode of, Krishna says in 1717 that this austerity is in the mode of goodness if one does it in order to please the Supreme, just to be serene. That's incredible. And it opens doors. It opens doors. This meeting is being live streamed. Are we on?
Yes, we're now live streamed.
Okay, got it. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi. Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratashe Namaha. Namo Brahmanaya Devaya Go Brahmanya Hitayacha Jagadhitai Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay. How come I don't see anybody? Is it the view?
Well, my camera doesn't work, so I'm trying to get it to work, but
Okay.
I think it seems no one else's camera was on. That's
yeah. If you wanna show your video, please feel free. And Ishan loves to see other devotees.
Okay. All right.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So, I want to call this class Connecting the Dots. Connecting the dots. It's like connecting the dots on a page to make a picture. And Srila Prabhupada, he's teaching us how to be devotees. And we have to take his different instructions and see how they all join together in a very nice way. So, Srila Prabhupada tells us how to chant Hare Krishna. In Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, chapter 18, towards the end of the chapter, it's described how Lord Chaitanya began chanting Hare Krishna under the guidance of his spiritual master, and he became ecstatic. And Srila Prabhupada explains, quote, the process is that the spiritual master, the bona fide, he uses that word, the bona fide spiritual master chants the mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And he says, and the mantra, the sound vibration enters the ear of the disciple. And if the disciple begins to chant Srila Prabhupada's words in the 18th chapter, if the disciple begins to chant with equal respect, that becomes the worship of the holy name. So, and then Srila Prabhupada continues, then the holy name spreads his glories in the heart of such a disciple. So let's review that. Srila Prabhupada's telling us how to chant Hare Krishna. not that we simply chant, but that we, as is written in Sri Harinam Chintamani, Lord Chaitanya is talking with Haridas Thakur and asking him different questions. And Haridas Thakur is answering. And he's explaining to Lord Chaitanya that when we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, we should have two kinds of meditation going simultaneously. We should be meditating on Krishna, and we should be meditating on our spiritual master. Because the spiritual master is teaching us how to chant the holy name. So what is it that we learn from the spiritual master about teaching the holy name? As Srila Prabhupada writes in Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, to chant with equal respect. How do we understand? How do we understand the heart of our spiritual master?
Ishan Prabhu, you know your video is not on, right?
Oh, it's not? Okay, thank you for that. How do we...
Okay, now you got it.
How do we understand the heart of our spiritual master? There's a prayer. I beg your pardon?
By turning the camera on.
By turning the camera on. There's a prayer in our songbook, in Songs of the Vaishnava Acharyas. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he gives us one prayer in which the disciple prays to his spiritual master. And he says, I offer you all respect, for thus I may have the energy by which I can know you correctly. Then, by chanting the holy name in great ecstasy, all my offenses will cease. So there's so much there that it's when we have Krishna consciousness that our offenses will cease. Of course, we're encouraged to have our offenses cease in order to become Krishna conscious, but ultimately, it's by becoming Krishna conscious that our offenses will cease. Why is that? That's explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 5th chapter, text number 25. Srila Prabhupada says that when we get the taste of Krishna consciousness, our taste for everything material goes away. It's therefore we have the same thing that we sing every morning in our Guru Puja, that from him, Prema Bhakti Yaha Hoite Avidya Vinashayate. From him, from the pure devotee, the spiritual master, from him Krishna Prem, love of Krishna emanates. And if we can catch it, avidya vinashayate, our ignorance is destroyed. It's just like when you turn on the light in a room, the darkness is gone. So Krishna consciousness is like the light. It's the light of spiritual knowledge. So we have to learn how to be Krishna conscious. The essence of becoming Krishna conscious or spiritually awakened in this age is the sound vibration of the Harinam, Harinam, Haranam eva kevalam kalo nastyeva 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 gatiranyata. It's only by chanting the holy name that we can become realized, that we can know God. But as we were saying, as Srila Prabhupada was explaining, that how we chant that the bona fide spiritual master chants the mantra, and if we can chant with equal respect, that becomes the worship of the holy name. Yeah, we're learning to chant from someone who knows how to chant. That's why Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna consciousness is an apprenticeship program. As we've said before many times, I think, an apprentice, there are many kinds of apprentices. You can become an apprentice electrician, or an apprentice plumber, or an apprentice bricklayer. You're working under the guidance in the association of a master electrician, a master plumber, or a master bricklayer. And we're working in his association under his guidance. Similarly, we're told we're practicing Krishna consciousness in the association of a pure devotee under his guidance. So Krishna consciousness is an apprenticeship program, but we're not learning how to lay bricks. We're learning how to open our hearts to Krishna under his guidance. That's why, and we call on Krishna we glorify Krishna, Radha and Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Just like people go to the football game or a basketball game or baseball game, and they cheer for their team. So in Krishna consciousness, we take pleasure in Krishna's pleasure, and no one can give pleasure to Krishna like Srimati Radharani. So the devotees in the spiritual world, they try to make beautiful arrangements for Radha and Krishna's loving exchange. We sing that every morning. How does that go? Nikunja yuno rati keli siddhai yaya labir juktir apekshaniya. That the spiritual master is very much expert in assisting the gopis who are engaged in the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal love affairs. At different times, they make different tasteful arrangements for that spiritual exchange between Radha and Krishna. And our spiritual master is there to assist in these affairs. We sing that every morning. So it's written in teachings of Lord Chaitanya that when the gopis make nice arrangements for Radha and Krishna's loving exchange, they experience more ecstatic bliss than Radha and Krishna. They just take so much pleasure in Krishna's pleasure. So we have to learn from a spiritual master who is on that platform, because he's sharing his feelings with us. Just like Srila Prabhupada says in the 10th canto, what is Diksha? Initiation. He says initiation or Diksha means to have a heart, to cultivate a heart, begin a heart-to-heart relationship with somebody who always has Krishna in their heart. And so that we can learn from them how to always have Krishna in our heart. That then Srila Prabhupada explains there in the 10th canto purport that Krishna is then communicated from the heart of the pure devotee into the heart of his disciple. So so he's teaching us, what does he have, that pure devotee, that enables him to see Krishna? His Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokiyanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That the pure devotee, because his eyes are smeared with a certain ointment, a salve of love, this enables him to see Krishna. Krishna says the same thing in Bhagavad Gita. How does he say? Bhaktya mama vijanati. I do not reveal myself to anyone except to those who love me. If we have love for Krishna, he can't resist it. It absolutely conquers him. So, but where will we get that love? There was one lecture by Srila Prabhupada, an early lecture, I think it was 1966. He said, if you can purchase this love, you should go immediately to the store and purchase it. But where will you get it? So the understanding is you can only get it from somebody who has it. That Krishna consciousness can't be taught. And Krishna consciousness can't be earned by mechanically performing all of our practices. But Krishna consciousness, it must be caught. Just like you catch a disease from someone who has the disease. Srila Prabhupada says this exactly in the first canto, 5th chapter, 25th verse, 25th verse of the 5th chapter, 1st canto. Srila Prabhupada's first sentence in his purport to that verse is that pure devotion to Krishna, is as much infectious, in a good sense though, as an infectious disease. Imagine, Srila Prabhupada's, it's a metaphor. He says, just like you catch a disease from someone who has a sickness, like COVID virus, or any other disease, you catch Krishna consciousness from someone who has Krishna consciousness. You catch devotion. Pure devotion is as much infectious, but in a good sense, as an infectious disease. And then in that same purport, Srila Prabhupada says, infection of the qualities of the pure devotee means to imbibe the taste of devotion in the association of a pure devotee. But if you have nice association with a real devotee, you can become infected with Krishna consciousness. So that's why, as we started in teachings of Lord Chaitanya, that if one can chant following in the footsteps of the pure devotee, if one can chant with equal feeling, and then that becomes the worship of the holy name. And how do we get that feeling? We said that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in his prayer, that I offer my spiritual master all respectful feelings and so that I can have the ability to understand him correctly. Then I can chant the holy name. So in another prayer of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, "Oh, you are always tasting the nectar of the name. When will I have the intelligence to hold your lotus feet until the end of time? When, oh, when will that day be mine? When will I have the intelligence to go to the store where I can purchase this Krishna consciousness?" In other words, Srila Prabhupada says, if you can purchase it, immediately go to the store and purchase it, this love of Krishna. But where can you get it? So here it's explained that we can get it from someone who has it. We get it by being, how close do we have to be? As Srila Prabhupada says, fixed up. One is fixed up in Krishna consciousness, right? So what is that fixed up? You take something we have in the hardware store. I don't know if they have it in other countries, but in America, they have what they call contact cement. And you put contact cement on two surfaces, like a veneer, something that you put on a countertop, and you put it on the countertop and you put it on the veneer, and you wait a few minutes and you join them together, and you can't pull them apart with thousands of pounds of pulling force. That it becomes fixed up. Fixed also means something very positive. It means the opposite of broken. Everything in the material world is broken. Everything. It's just like, it's not immediately broken, but it's just a matter of time. Nothing in this world will endure. Everything here is temporal. Just like it's waiting to happen. What's waiting to happen? Srila Prabhupada says that from the moment we're born, we're dying. It's just a matter of time. As soon as we're born, we may have a lifespan of 50 years. Some people have a lifespan of 5 years or 10 years, and some people have a lifespan of 90 or 100 years. But nobody endures. Everybody is in this cycle of birth, old age, disease, and death. So, so nothing here is fixed. We try to make wonderful arrangements in our life in so many ways, but nothing is fixed up. Everything is like an accident waiting to happen, a disease waiting to happen, old age waiting to happen, and death waiting to happen. And there's no way to avoid it. The scientists are trying to do everything in their power how to counteract this process. And there are hundreds of medicines and hundreds of technological advances. And now they're transplanting the kidneys, maybe the liver. They're transplanting the heart. They're changing parts. They're giving a hip replacement, a knee replacement, a shoulder replacement. They're giving you a pacemaker. And there's so much research and development, but they cannot stop the process because nothing in the material world is fixed up. Everything here is temporary, and everything here will pass. So Srila Prabhupada says that if we're fixed up in Krishna consciousness, then we can have eternal life. Because we're living not on the platform of material pursuit, but we're living on the platform of spiritual pursuit. So how do we break out of this cycle of birth and death? There's only one way to break out of the cycle of birth and death. Srila Prabhupada explains that we're here in the material world because our hearts are filled with material desires. We want so many things. We want families. We want children. We want wealth. We want health. People go to the gym and they develop their bodies, huge muscles, and they take up yoga and they do so many things, and they take long walks and they have special diets and on, all to become so. To be fixed up means to be fixed in our heart, as Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes fixed up. When will I hold your feet? Until the end of time. When, oh when, will that day be mine? Why does someone pray like that? Why does a person pray? Why doesn't he just do it? Because we've been in this material world for millions and millions of births. And we've been in a materialistic orientation, trying to make our life in the material world work nicely. And so we're always thinking that if I can make nice arrangements, then everything will be fixed up. Everything will be nice. So that's a habitual orientation, way of living, way of feeling in our heart. It's a conviction in our heart. People work so hard to be materially successful, to have a good education. We go to school from the age of 5 or 6 years old until the age of 25. We go to school for 20 years so that we can have a good job or profession. And then we work very hard at that profession so that we can become successful. And we want to become successful so we can have so many material opulences. Name, fame, social position, wealth, everything. Then we can have then I can find a nice husband or wife because I have all these opulences. And then I can have a nice family. And then I can have a nice house, a nice home to live in. It was a swimming pool and a sauna and so many wonderful things. So the people work so hard to have all this. But we can't keep any of it. We can't keep any of it. But the orientation is so strong that people are engaged like this. All young people are intelligent young people, are in the universities in this process of trying to make a fixed up life. But nothing in the material world is fixed up. So Srila Prabhupada uses this phrase, fixed up on the lotus feet. So because we have this other orientation of wanting to be materially fixed up, it's so habitual, we have to cultivate a different kind of consciousness. We have to cultivate what's called Krishna consciousness. instead of being fixed up on things that are temporal, to be fixed up on things that are eternal. And by being fixed up on things that are temporal, we remain in the temporal world, birth after birth, because we're fixed up. And by being fixed up on eternal things, on the absolute truth, and we take our birth in the spiritual world. So, but it's at first it's very, we're going against strong habits of millions of lifetimes, and to transfer that fixed up. And it says, and because it takes, we have to be determined. Because we have to focus. That's why we have classes to remind. Every day we were having classes. When I lived with devotees, we had morning classes and evening classes. Every 365 days a year. Why? Orientation. To remind us what is, it's our GPS for Krishna consciousness, an orientation, what to be fixed up. So because one who is having some taste of connection with the bona fide spiritual master, he's beginning to understand how nice it is to be Krishna consciousness in the association of a pure devotee. He's learning from the pure devotee how he's becoming infected with Krishna consciousness by association with the pure devotee, imbibing the taste, prema bhakti yaho. From him this love of Krishna emanates, and we can catch it. Our ignorance is destroyed, and all our anxiety evaporates. It's so nice to be Krishna conscious. So the one who's beginning to understand like this, the benefit of being fixed up, he begins to pray, when will I have the intelligence to hold your feet until the end of time? When, oh, when will that day be mine? So, in other words, Krishna consciousness means to become an apprentice of someone who's a pure devotee. He is, we say that he's the transparent, the bona fide spiritual master, is the transparent via media to see God. What is the transparent via media? A pair of glasses are transparent. You look through the transparent media, and it brings things into focus. We may have a visual, some people, so if our vision is not very clear, if we can have a medium through which we can see clearly and bring into focus. So the spiritual master is transparent via media to see God. We see God through the agency, through our spiritual master, because premanjana churita bhakti velochanena, because his eyes are anointed with the salve of premanjana. His eyes are anointed with, and because his eyes are anointed, Krishna bhaktya mama vijanati, I reveal myself to those who love me, not to anyone else. So not by mechanically performing all our activities, what Srila Prabhupada describes as, what does he call it? The formula. mechanically keeping the formula of all the things we're supposed to do and all the things we're not supposed to do, mechanically keeping the formula. Srila Prabhupada calls it the formula. He says this mechanical approach to Krishna consciousness following the formula, he says it doesn't work. He says it's a waste of time. He says, he calls it niyam agraha. Rather, one should, he says, why is it a waste of time to do all these things in Krishna consciousness program? He says, because we're missing the point. He says it's a waste of time because we're missing the point. So what is the point? That these activities that we perform in Krishna consciousness, like chanting our japa, etc., the deity worship, all of practical service, so many forms, taking prasadam. All of these are a medium through which we cultivate love. It's not that by doing these activities that love will one day dawn upon us. We're given these activities as a medium through which to cultivate our loving feelings. But how can we do it? It's an apprenticeship program. We have to engage in all of these activities in the association of a pure devotee, under the guidance of a pure devotee, under the direction of a pure devotee. We hear all these things again and again and again, that there's nothing, it's a one moment's association after millions of births. One moment's association is sufficient to take a person back home, back to Godhead. How is it that one split second is sufficient to take? Because that in that moment, what happens, just like we have a garden outside beside our house, if you put in a seed in that garden and you water that seed, it sprouts. And from that seed grows a creeper. And from that creeper grows flowers. And from that flower grows fruits. So in that one, and how long does it take to grow? Oh, it can take several months. But how long does it take to plant the seed? It can happen in 1 second. So therefore, 1 second of association, real association, feeling the heart of a real devotee. He plants a seed, Bhakti Lata Bij. The Bij is the seed of Bhakti Lata. Lata is the creeper, the devotional creeper that goes up to the spiritual sky. It's the creeper of devotion. So we're having one moment's association, we receive the seed taste of Krishna consciousness. So we can hold that in our heart, hold that seed in our heart and cultivate that seed, just like you water the seed in the garden and you weed, watering and weeding. In our Krishna consciousness, we have to cultivate Krishna consciousness and weed out the parts that are impediments. If there's too many weeds, it can choke the creeper. So in the Muslim tradition, they call that zirat, using the analogies of nature for understanding our spiritual life, just like we use the analogies of that the spiritual master is a transparent via media through which we can see God, because his eyes are another Another analogy, his eyes are smeared with a certain ointment or salve, which, and what is the salve? It's the salve of love. It's the salve of love. So if we can see through his eyes, we can see Krishna. So we say, when, oh, when will that day be mine? When I'll hold on to him. Because there's no other way to go forward in Krishna consciousness. This is how we become Krishna conscious. We're connecting the dots as far as possible. Srila Prabhupada's first talk. As far as possible, the chanting should be heard from the lips of a pure devotee of the Lord, so that immediate effect can be achieved. That immediate effect is that Bhakti Lata Bij, that one moment of hearing him nicely, who sows a seed in our heart that we can cultivate and keep him in our heart till the end of time. When will that day be mine? Imbibe the taste. 1:525. To become infected. Pure devotion is infectious in a good sense, as an infectious disease. Infection means to imbibe the taste of devotion in the association of a pure devotee. Diksha means, 10th canto, Diksha means to have a heart-to-heart connection with someone who always has Krishna in their heart. Srila Prabhupada explains in that purport that unless one's spiritual master has Krishna always in his heart, it's not possible for the disciple to hold Krishna in their heart. The process is that the spiritual master chants, and the sound vibration enters the ear of the disciple. There's another prayer in the songbook in which the disciple prays. There's some devotees sometimes raise the question, well, how do we develop this faith, this relationship with Srila Prabhupada? How do we develop this sense, this feeling? Well, the guidance is given in this prayer in our songbook, where the disciple prays to the spiritual master, please let me be with you. Please let me be with you. So if one is always asking, please let me be with you, he'll be blessed with the ability to feel Srila Prabhupada's presence. How much time are we spending every day asking him for the ability to feel his presence? We want that, objectively speaking, we want that, but are we asking for it? Please let me be with you. Please let me be with you. So, then, and the idea is that it's not by doing that one day we'll have a revelation, mechanically doing that will one day have revelation. And when we have revelation, then we'll have love of Krishna. 100%, 180 degrees in the other direction is when we have love of Krishna, then we'll have revelation. Because Krishna explains that he doesn't reveal himself to anybody except one who loves him. But where will we get that love? Then Srila Prabhupada explains in Chaitanya Charitamrita that there's two kinds of spiritual masters. One of them is giving philosophy, objective instruction, and the other one is always in profound meditation within his heart with loving feelings towards Krishna. And if the disciple can imbibe the feelings of such a spiritual master, that's called subjective instruction. Objective means philosophy, logic. Subjective means feeling, how we feel about things. Subjective instruction, Srila Prabhupada says, we get in subjective instruction from a pure devotee who always has Krishna in his heart. We get but we have to associate with such a person. But how can we associate with such a person? Srila Prabhupada said, please let me be with you. I offer you all respect, for thus I may have the ability to understand your heart. So Srila Prabhupada uses different words. He says that one must have an intimate relationship. He used this word, intimate. Intimate means feelings. And then he used another word. One must have what was that other word? Intimate feeling. Oh, he uses the word thick. We have to have a very thick. Something that's thick is hard to penetrate other things coming in to our consciousness because we have a very thick relationship. We become a little obsessed. Sometimes we become very fixed on something. Nobody can get our attention. So if we have a very thick relationship with Srila Prabhupada, and so he says intimate, thick, and what was that? I had some others there. He says, I don't see it here. So intimate, thick. And then he says, in another quote, he says, how can you be always follow the instructions of your spiritual master? He says, you can't. You won't have the ability. But if you love your spiritual master, he says, then you'll have the ability. If you love somebody, you just want to please them. When you love somebody, you like to please them. Then it becomes very easy. So Srila Prabhupada says we have to cultivate love for our spiritual master. And what is that love? 10th canto. Diksha means the beginning of the cultivation of a heart-to-heart relationship with someone who has Krishna in their heart. So he says, then it says in chapter 12 of Nectar of Devotion, that association is like a mirror, like a crystal stone that reflects whatever is placed before it. So our heart is like a mirror. If we come prema bhakti, from him this love of Krishna emanates. If I can touch our heart will reflect it. What will we receive love of Krishna from a pure devotee, and our heart reflects that love out towards Krishna Loka, up towards Krishna. So association, so we have to associate with someone who has love. Then our heart will reflect that love. But the heart has to be clean. The mirror has to be clean. The mirror has to be clean in order to reflect. So we have to approach Srila Prabhupada with a frank and open heart. Yeah, the spiritual master in that same 1:525 of Bhagavatam, it says the spiritual master will enrich the disciple. And in chapter 34, I think, the gopis' feelings of separation in Krishna book, it says the spiritual masters will enrich the disciples with these feelings of love of Krishna. So what is enriched? If you buy some flour at the store, there's two kinds. There's ordinary flour, and then there's the enriched flour. They have an added ingredient in that flour. It's enriched. So what is the spiritual master? How does he enriches our heart? The ingredient that we don't have is his love of Krishna, that our hearts, our consciousness, our awareness becomes enriched with this love of Krishna, becomes infected with this love of Krishna, and begins to reflect this love of Krishna. You see what we're doing? We're only connecting the dots. And we go from one book to another. It's the same thing in so many ways as being said, whether we say is a association is like a crystal stone that reflects the qualities of the pure devotee, or we say become infected with the qualities of a pure devotee, or we say, what was the other one? There's so many, or apprenticeship program, or we say that he's a transparent via medium. It is saying the same thing in 100 ways in our books, that there's no way to become a real devotee until we have a heart-to-heart connection with a real devotee. That this is how one becomes a devotee. Not because of you giving us objective instruction, because he's giving us subjective instruction. He's teaching us how to feel. So we have to come close to him. Oh, please let me be with you. When will I hold your feet till the end of time? This is fixed up. Thick relationship fixed up. So then we catch the seed from him, and we cultivate that seed, and we become enriched, and we hold on until the end of time, and we offer him all love and respect, so we can begin to understand his heart, and he shares Krishna consciousness by practicing Krishna consciousness. Direct statement from Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is how Lord Chaitanya's mercy is distributed. I shall spread this Krishna consciousness by practicing it myself. I'm going to spread this taste. I'm going to give this subjective instruction. And so this is, so the whole thing is we have to begin to, at first step is to have a GPS. It gives us a sense of direction, not only what is the goal, but how to get there. We have to understand that there's no other way to become a devotee except through the mercy of the pure devotee. That's our GPS for Krishna, for spiritual life. Then when we have that understanding, then we can begin to aspire for that. We can begin to, oh, when will I do that? When will I? And please let me be with you becomes the prayer. And if we ask with sincere desire, it will be given to us. That's why Jesus says, like in the Bible, knock and the door is open. It's just a matter of wanting. It's a matter of asking. And he says, there's no way to the Father but through me. It's the same philosophy. Knock and the door will be open. There's no way to the Father but through me. So we're saying, please let me be with you. That's knocking. So, and there's no way to Krishna except through Srila Prabhupada. That's why the pure devotees come from the spiritual world to share their heart with us so that we can learn. So that we can learn how to be devotees again. We become infected with love of God. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Balaram Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, the Ishan Prabhu. Thank you so much for a wonderful talk, as usual. We have Satya Mataji back, and we also have Ramachandra Prabhu here. So if any of you have any questions related to what you've heard in this class, feel free to please ask that. And if there's anything outside of this class, we can talk about it, but afterwards. I'm waiting to see if you, dear devotees, have any questions. Satya Mataji?
It's all right.
We know you missed half of the class. It's okay.
No, it's all right.
Okay, then I have a question.
Okay.
So my question is one that follows the general question I would have from all the classes, actually, more or less, is
Oh, yeah.
if you can just take me right now as really stupid and idiot, so one idiot-proof
Can't talk
answer.
about, you can't talk about my god brothers like that.
Well, I'm talking about me, so it's okay.
No,
So
you're not.
you take me as an idiot because I really want idiot-proof answer. And let's take my daily life. So, you know, in my daily life, I follow the normal routine of a temple situation. I just have my morning program, listen to Prabhupada's class, spend some time talking to devotees online. I can't go out on books as they usually do. I do a little tiny bit of deity worship, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, that's what I'm doing normally. And you call that the
Formula.
the formula. Okay. Now,
Srila Prabhupada.
now what should I do clearly in my daily physical, practical life that can interject or inject a lot more connection to Prabhupada to build this reality of a relationship with Prabhupada and not keep it distant. I guess the same principle for Krishna, but you know, what is it?
Please let me be with you. Please let me be with you. Please let me be with you, Srila Prabhupada. Please let me be with you. And what will happen is all of a sudden you'll have moments where you actually feel his presence by sincerely asking, please give me the intelligence how I can be with you. And another thing that comes up is when we are doing our things every day, washing dishes, sweeping the kitchen floor, carrying something to the truck or the car, going to get things at the store, we tend to be habitually very fruitive. Everything's about, did it work? Did it not work? Was I successful? Did I fail? Success and failure, victory and defeat. This is how we live because we're materialistic by habit, by millions of lifetimes. We are, we're fruitive, in other words. We were trying to enjoy the fruits of our labor. That's our orientation in life. We're grasping after a good result, reaching. And if it doesn't work, we're upset, or we're angry, or we're impatient. Why didn't it? Or why didn't he? Or why didn't she? Or this or that. Why can't I have what I want? We're fruitive. So, but in our sadhana, that fruitive, it's so easy not to be fruitive because we're not goal-oriented in our sadhana for some material result. So it's in our sadhana that's where we actually develop a desire to come closer to Srila Prabhupada. And it's our sadhana. In our sadhana, we actually try to please him. And you know what Srila Prabhupada said? He wanted us to chant in front of the deities every day, in front of our altar. He didn't want us. There was a direct instruction to stay in the temple room when we used to live. But I said it before, I'll say it again because it worked for me. If I sit in front of Srila Prabhupada's picture, I have a beautiful picture where he's beautifully smiling with so much love and so much kindness and so much joy. You can feel it. You can see it in his eyes. And you sit in front of that picture and you try to chant for him. You instead of garlanding him with a garland of flowers, you garland him with the sound vibration of the holy name. And you just try to please him in that way. And I guarantee you, if you do this every day, in a very short period of time, you'll have moments where you'll feel that he's pleased. You'll feel his love. You'll feel his gratitude to you. Oh, you want to be my disciple. You'll feel his affection. You'll feel also his joy that he's feeling in Krishna consciousness. You'll feel his feeling, his enthusiasm, his joyful enthusiasm in Krishna consciousness, the sweetness of it that he wants to share with us. And then when you're walking down the street or driving your car, that feeling will come back into your heart by saying, please let me be with you. Oh yes, I remember what that's like, being with you. Then you'll drive the car for Srila Prabhupada because he's there with you. So we're cultivating it, but that's why we have sadhana bhakti. It's for cultivating bhakti. Sadhana means the practice, and we're practicing bhakti. So we practice it like that in our sadhana, and then we learn to carry the feeling, and we see that when we see Krishna consciousness is so simple, but we see that when we go out to do our daily things, how fruitive we become immediately because of habit. We only can start to notice that when we set the goal to try and be Krishna conscious, even for 24 hours, even for 1 hour, even for 5 minutes. We see. So we cultivate it at first. through our sadhana, trying to please him and feeling that reciprocation. And then we learn, and then we start to think, oh, when will I be able to carry this feeling into the arena of my everyday life? That's what with the prayer that we were referring. When will I hold your feet until the end of time? Holding the feet, because I know my mind, my heart has such a tendency to become concerned with success and failure, victory and defeat, to be fruitive. Then the prayer begins. Then we say, when will I become fixed up on you, Srila Prabhupada? And so then life becomes, everything we do becomes an opportunity to practice what we're beginning to cultivate in our sadhana. So it begins, in other words, not to do our sadhana mechanically, but to use our sadhana as a medium through which to cultivate a sense of connection with Srila Prabhupada. That's what the sadhana is for. Not to do it mechanically and think that when I put in so many hours or so many years that I'll get a paycheck. But through our sadhana cultivate, I'm trying to please Srila Prabhupada, and you'll have breakthroughs. And it has nothing to do with whether you've ever been with Srila Prabhupada in the same room or not, because he's all pervasive. He's an avatar of Krishna, Shakti-Avesh avatar. He's a living associate of Krishna who's empowered to take the role of the all-pervasive super soul, who understands your heart and can speak to your heart and reveal things to your heart. Each of us can cultivate that relationship. And until we aspire to cultivate it, it's not going to happen. It has to be purposeful. It becomes that's what my goal is, to develop a relationship with my spiritual master, with Srila Prabhupada. So it begins in sadhana, and then gradually, when we get the flavor of it, we say, oh, when will I be able to bring this and live like this and live in this? Does that make sense to you?
Yes, of course. I mean, that's the basics of Krishna consciousness, actually. What we just outlined to do with Prabhupada is what we should be doing with Krishna.
So it's very much easier to do it when in our sadhana than to do it on the battlefield. On the battlefield, we become like Arjuna, you know? So many other considerations. So, but in our sadhana, everything else is put aside. Our to-do list is put aside. Our goals are put aside. And we're just trying to please Srila Prabhupada, who's said, do this, chant Hare Krishna, chant. So then if you get a taste for pleasing Srila Prabhupada when chanting Hare Krishna, when you're in the marketplace, as soon as you say Krishna, Srila Prabhupada will come in your mind, because you've opened that circuit. You've opened that sense. In other words, if when practicing chanting, we're practicing connecting with Srila Prabhupada, chanting for his pleasure and feeling his love, then once we get a little taste of that, then wherever we are, when we chant Hare Krishna, our mind will connect with Srila Prabhupada, because we've cultivated that through our sadhana. And then we'll aspire to live that way. and then we'll practice. Every day is another chance to practice. So that, because we're going to leave our body. So by the time I'm an old person or whenever, there's no guarantees. Of course, we may not become old. When will pass. But by that time, if it becomes thick enough, Srila Prabhupada says we have to have a thick relationship with him. Then he'll carry us. He'll carry us. Then we'll go we'll go to the spiritual sky, and they'll ask us if we have a password, and then they'll want to scan the barcode on our soul, you know. So,
Okay, one more little question.
Sure.
Oh, Ramachandra Prabhu, I just finished this one because connected to the last one, and then you can feel free to jump in. Okay, now including myself and others who may feel like me, oh, so far I haven't been able to cultivate a desire, to want a desire, to be close to Prabhupada. And
of course you have the desire.
I'm just saying, for example, right? So then, just to encourage me and other devotees like me, can you say something about how Prabhupada is reciprocating with us who, I mean, I feel that and I see that, like, I'm waking up early. It's for me, of course it's for me, but because Prabhupada said, I'm worshiping the deities, it's for me, but because Prabhupada said, I'm chanting, but Prabhupada said, so I am doing what Prabhupada desires and is instructing. So isn't he going to, and isn't he already reciprocating with that already?
Srila Prabhupada says that if one does everything mechanically, there will at once, this is a direct quote, there will be a mitigation of the unwanted material, miseries.
Yes.
In other words, the holy name and the practices are so powerful that one will have a sense of liberation from the anxieties in their heart. But he says, but he will never develop love of God in that way. In other words, one can actually become liberated by in the moment while practicing sadhana nicely and feel it. And we all do. I do, you do. But he says, but to develop love of Krishna, we have to be in an association of someone who has love of Krishna. And so tell me again what your question was.
Yeah, my question is, I am in the association of someone who loves Krishna because I'm doing everything that I do, I'm doing it actually to some degree in appreciation and in thankfulness to Prabhupada because I feel he's given me the spiritual life. So let's put aside some cleansing or some feeling light or whatever. No, my question is specifically, what is happening in the personal relationship between Prabhupada and the practitioner like myself? You know, I'm not sitting here and I'm not crying, Prabhupada, please let me into your life. Come close to me, come close to me. I don't have that yet, but I'm going out, I'm distributing his books. I'm talking to people about Krishna. I'm telling people about Prabhupada. I'm cooking for the deities. I'm dancing in front of the deities. I'm chanting. These are things he says to do. Okay. So is there a personal reciprocation between Prabhupada and the practitioner on that level?
So let's say it's proportionate. Let's say as much as we're approaching him, Krishna says the same thing. As they approach me, I reciprocate. So yes, you're receiving as much as you're giving, or maybe more. But you want more than that. You want to understand what is love of Krishna. So it's a personal choice. You can go on we can go on, I can go on, you can go on doing this because Srila Prabhupada has given us a list of things, of instructions. I'm doing this because I appreciate that he's given these instructions. I'm doing this because he asked me to do them, and I am grateful, and all of this. Or I can want more. A person who has $1 million wants another $1 million. A person who eats something that tastes nice in the marketplace wants more, even though his belly's full. So in so many ways, a person who has a good job, he wants even a better job. A person who's going to school, he wants to have a better profession. So why can't we want more? Yes, you have what you have in terms of your reciprocation with Srila Prabhupada, but why can't you? So you can have as much as you desire. So it's your choice. How much do you want to come closer to Srila Prabhupada or not? In other words, it's your choice. Myself, when I'm not close to Srila Prabhupada, I become like an untamed animal. When I'm not close to Srila Prabhupada, I become so upset when things don't go the way I plan. If I don't complete my list of things that I wanted to get done, if things don't work right, I become disappointed. I become frustrated. I become angry. So I have to live with myself, and I don't like it. That's why I took up spiritual life, because Srila Prabhupada says it's a diseased condition of the soul, that having a material mind and a material body, it's a disease of the soul. And you don't, just like a material person has a growth or a tumor or something. So we have a material body and a material mind. It's an affliction. So I'm not even asking to go back to the spiritual world. If I can just be living in Srila Prabhupada's association, it frees me from that, from having to live with my material mind and body. I want more. So for those who haven't suffered enough, they don't want more that so much. But a person like me, therefore it's for the most, this is for the most fallen. Patita Pavan, I hate to, that Lord Chaitanya's mercy. So it's hard for a happy person to become a devotee. It's hard for a wealthy person to become a devotee. It's hard for a famous person to become a devotee. It's hard for a very beautiful person to become a devotee. It's hard for a socially elite to become a devotee. These are all disqualifications. But for a person who's a kinchana gochara, for a person who's really down and out, if you can't win materially, you look for some answer. But it's very hard for those very fortunate materialistic people to become serious about spiritual life. So it's a question of understanding our suffering and really, really wanting something more. It's all a question of desire, how much we want. So that's what drove me to start this spiritual life, because I never had a spiritual thought in my life. I was raised in a family of atheists. I never questioned it, my parents, on it. They know everything, my parents, when you're a little boy. But I was so much suffering, and I took every course in the university for understanding the body and mind. Went to see my professor in his office, and he said, "We really don't know anything. We just make all this up, and every year there are new books because we have a different idea. They don't know anything how to." So then I dropped out of university. And somehow or other, some devotees moved into my house. And they said, try this. So then I went to see Srila Prabhupada, and I could understand that this person has something I've never experienced in another person. And I want a piece of the action. I want to know what this person knows. So it's a question of desire. If you want it, it's there. Knock, and the door is going to be open. It depends how much we want. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhu, it makes perfect sense. More, stronger, deeper desire.
Yeah, and if you don't have a strong, deeper desire, Krishna will arrange it. He'll break you. Yeah.
Okay, so
Even Queen Kunti prays for more misery. It's in the Bhagavatam. She said, you please keep, that's where this phrase, Akinchana Gochara, comes from, Queen Kunti's prayer. It means materially exhausted. Nothing seems to work for us. Please keep me in this position. Because in this position, like, otherwise, material life is intoxicating. It keeps us blind. And Maya is saying, come on, enjoy. So she sees that, like, you're a nice person, you're cheerful, you're nice looking, you can get on pleasantly with other people. You know, life can be quite nice. Maybe you have a good way to maintain yourself. I don't know. So, but Queen Kunti is praying, Krishna, please keep us in difficulty. And they were in difficulty, terrible difficulty, the Pandavas. And they tried to burn them in the house of Sholak, Duryodhan and company. They tried to burn the whole family, their mother, Queen Kunti, and the 5 Pandavas. And they escaped through that tunnel, carrying Queen Kunti on their back, Bhima. So from every angle, banned to live in the forest for 15 years. So, but she's praying for more because we need. So, of course, you have to be careful what you ask for. But if you really want to go forward, but if you're really intelligent, you don't have to be in such a miserable condition. When Srila Prabhupada said to me one time that he made like he's doing an injection of heroin into his arm, he said, he asked me with a smile, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Have you seen people doing that? And I said, yeah. And he said, Krishna consciousness is like that. So when you get a taste, it makes you want more. So you in your sadhana, you can chant in one round and say, just try and please Srila Prabhupada with that sound vibration. When you get a glimpse that he's receiving your desire to please him, he said, oh, I want more of that. You'll forget. I forget. We forget. But we know, oh, that's so nice to be in touch with him. He's non-different from the Lord in our heart that's waiting for us to turn to him. He's the external manifestation of the Lord in the heart, just waiting for us to give our love to him instead of trying to please ourselves. So you say, have your japa beads, you have your picture. He says, I'm in my picture. Approach him. Bow down to him. Do it 10 times. Bow down 100 times. I've seen people in Vrindavan bowing down, full straight out, like a rod, going all around Radha Kund, chanting their japa in that way, bowing down, getting up, bowing down, getting up, going all the way. Whatever it takes. We're in Krishna consciousness because we believe it's real. And now, how to make it work? Because if I don't make it work, it's impossible to remain neutral. Maya will sweep us away. Therefore, we sing, from him this love emanates, and if we can catch it, by him our ignorance is destroyed. So in order to stay safe, we have to be fixed up. So we're working on it. It doesn't happen overnight, but look how people go to school for 20 years to be a professional, a doctor, a lawyer. It takes a little time. Anything good takes time. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for your answer.
No,
I appreciate that.
I think I'll keep thinking about it. But I gave another way to approach Srila Prabhupada. If you approach him with joyful enthusiasm, you'll feel his presence that much more powerful. When we approach him with joyful enthusiasm, with a feeling of joyful enthusiasm, Srila Prabhupada, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When you approach him with joyful enthusiasm, it means you've accepted the reality of the relationship. The measure of acceptance, joyful enthusiasm, is the measure of our acceptance. Srila Prabhupada said, cultivating Krishna consciousness is only a question of understanding and accepting. The measure of acceptance is how much we take it up with joyful enthusiasm. So if we approach Srila Prabhupada with joyful enthusiasm, it means we accept the reality that he's right there. Because he is. He's Jagat Guru. He can have the same relationship with all the people in the universe at the same time. Because he's a Shakti Avesh avatar. He's a form of Krishna as an empowered associate of Krishna who's empowered to take the role of the all-pervasive Supersoul, the Lord in the heart. He's the external manifestation of so if we accept that, really, so the measure of our acceptance is how much we approach him with joyful enthusiasm. So we have to make that experiment in order to understand that it's real. Is that something you can relate to? What I'm saying? Can you make that experiment?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, why not? It's free. Who can stop you? Yeah. You know, once we get a taste of it, we want more.
Yes. Ramachandra Prabhu, are you still there?
Yeah,
Haribo.
try.
Please go ahead.
I just want to offer one comment. I just want to offer one comment here because we're talking about these things. Just a couple of comments. When we see Srila Prabhupada's life, at least the life of a pure devotee, he had a very blissful and very a loving relationship with his father. He attests his father to be a pure devotee. He grew up in that culture, Bengali culture. Anyone who has experienced that, they live a very healthy life. So at least in my personal life, I look at it, I had a wonderful father. I had a very good mother who took care of me. And then I look at some of our God brothers, some of them had that relationship and and some of them did not. And I think Srila Prabhupada, he manifested all that because he was a pure devotee, he grew up in a right environment, all that influenced his perfect Krishna consciousness. And then he gave that to his disciples, anyone who came into Krishna consciousness. And yes, Ishan Prabhu.
No, I'm listening to you because you're touching on something that's very, very, I feel is very, very important, because a person who grows up, there are prisoners in prisons, in jails, and they have no feeling whatsoever. They can commit any crime, even they're professional killers, hitman. I know one devotee, his father worked for the mafia, and he was a hitman. That's what he did. He killed people. So, and there are people who do things like that for a living. So, why are they like that, these prisoners? Because their hearts are closed. There's a phrase in the Bhagavatam 3rd canto, I think, steel-framed heart. But why is the heart closed? It's because, like you say, there's so much pain in their development, psychological development as children, that the only way they can protect themselves is to say, something inside said, no one's going to hurt me again, because they can't. They can't touch me. I'm indifferent. The heart closed. So it's very important to come up to the mode of goodness and gradually start melting that heart. Srila Prabhupada talks about the quality of the Brahmin. The Brahmin in 17th chapter talks about serenity of the heart. In 18th chapter, 1842, the first quality of the Brahmin is inner peace. As in 17th chapter, Krishna says the serenity of the heart is the austerity of the mind in the mode of goodness. In goodness, a certain sweetness arises, and one can begin to love again. Peaceful inner peace. In the 18th chapter, verses 51 to 53, it's described there in the word for word that there's a trance. I forget the Sanskrit. Oh, Dhyana, I think. Dhyana. A trance, and what I'm forgetting. Where's my Bhagavad Gita? Here, I'll find the words. A trance that enables one to come to the spiritual platform. 18, 51 to 53. Check this out. But okay, 50, 51. In the word for word, 51 to 53 is given like one verse altogether. Dhyana Yoga Para. No, it says, these are all qualities which bring one up to the spiritual platform. The next verse talks about the Brahma Bhuta platform, where one becomes joyful in the heart. But what gets a person there is described in 51 to 53. Mind control, manasa, control of the mind. What is it? What is the nature of their control of the mind? Dhyana Yoga Para, translation, always absorbed in trance. How long absorbed in that trance? Nityam, 24 hours a day, Srila Prabhupada writes. Then he writes, and what is that trance? Always absorbed in the trance. Shanta, peaceful, inner peace in the heart. So Krishna is prescribing all these activities. And what is Srila Prabhupada's purport there? 18, oh, that's 16, 1850. His first sentence in the purport to those verses is, one who is purified by knowledge keeps himself in the mode of goodness. All these things that are described, they're all part of being peace. Samo damo tapashocham, the qualities by which a Brahmin works, his daily activities by which he works, his inner peace is the first quality. That's how it, and here is described, control of the mind by staying in this trance of inner peace, satisfaction of the heart, serenity of the heart. Then a person can give up his fruitive nature. When he's doing things, success and failure don't matter, because if something doesn't work, the peace is already established in the heart. It's not based, his happiness is not based on how his activity comes out. He's already satisfied inside. If something doesn't work, he smiles. Oh, Krishna doesn't want it to work. Because he has the peace inside, he can be renounced outside. So that's what mode of goodness gives him, so he can start to become a devotee. Because the person, Krishna says in the next verse, in 54, that then one becomes joyful in the heart as a result of this inner peace. And then he has no more hankering, and he has no more lamentations. And he says, what is the result of having no more hankering and no lamentation and being joyful? Krishna says, Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. Now he can have spirit devotion. Now he can have loving feelings towards me. Because we can't have both. They're mutually exclusive. Loving feeling towards Krishna means not having any affection for anything material. And being free from these material feelings of attachments enables one to have loving feelings towards Krishna. That we have to come up to this platform. So like you say, a person who is brought up in a very loving environment. You know what Srila Prabhupada says? Atmavan manyate jagat. We see the whole world, jagat, Van means to possess, just like in Bhagavan. Bhaga means opulence, and Van means possess. The person who possesses these opulences of the Absolute is called Bhagavan. So Atmavan means, what are the qualities of our heart? Atmavan, Manyate, Atmavan, the qualities that we possess, that we see the Manyate Jagat, we think of the world in terms of the qualities of our heart, that if our heart is filled with love, we feel love coming to us from it, whatever our consciousness. Like Srila Prabhupada says, you don't see the tree. You may have heard the lecture. You see Krishna, because Krishna is in everything. And everything is Krishna's energy. You don't see the tree, you see Krishna. But first, we see the world in terms of the condition of our heart. So a person who has love in their heart, you feel that love, because that love is in, look, Krishna's between every atom and in every atom, and Krishna's love for us is unbounded. There's no limit to how much Krishna loves us. So a person, if we could see Krishna in everything, we would feel Krishna's love. But but we see the world in terms of the condition of our own heart. When we have a heart that's filled with love, whatever we look at, we'll feel the love coming back. That's called Paramatma realization. When our hearts are loving, whatever we look at, we see the beauty in it, including other beings. We see Krishna in everyone else's heart, and we feel his love. We can't be displeasing to anybody else. He says, you become joyful within the heart. Brahma Bhuta Nasochati na Kankshati, no hankering, no lamenting. Samasarveshu Bhuteshu. You see everyone equally. You see the beauty in every living being. So he said, but as soon as to see like that, you have to be joyful in your own heart first. You have to feel that love. So then, as soon as we're loving, whatever we focus our consciousness on, our attention, we feel the love coming back to us. That's Paramatma. See, in everything, everywhere, Krishna is all pervasive. He pervades the whole material world. If our hearts are full of love, we'll feel the love coming back to us, whatever we look at. But if we look at Srila Prabhupada with a heart like that, we immediately feel his love. If our hearts are loving, as soon as we think of Krishna or Srila Prabhupada, we feel their love. Because Atmavan Manyate Jagat. We see everything and everyone in terms of the condition of our own heart. That's why he wants us to become up to the mode of goodness. Because in the Brahminical mode, one has feelings of love. That's why altruism kicks in goodness. Humanitarianism kicks in goodness, not because they feel they should. It's spontaneous, taking happiness in the well-being and happiness of others. It's part of the mode of goodness. So then when he says a Brahmin can become a Vaishnava, because he has love in his heart, and he just has to transfer the account from material objects of affection to the spiritual objects of affection, Krishna and his pure devotees. So what you were saying, yeah, these people who are raised in a beautiful way, they're at a tremendous advantage because it's not black and white, love and being closed-hearted or hard-hearted. It's a spectrum, like 1 to 100 or whatever. And we're all on that spectrum. Some people are more loving than others. It's a matter of what you do with the love. So there are ways to. So Srila Prabhupada says, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Be cheerful. Be bright. The more we are bright, like unto the sun as am I. In Ishopanishad, one prays to God, you're like the sun. Like unto the sun as am I. I also am spirit. I'm pure spirit, soul. I'm part of Krishna. I'm part of God. I'm just as bright. I'm minute, but I'm so we have to embrace our spiritual identity. That I'm not this mind. I'm not this body, and accept the fact that I'm a spirit soul, a beautiful, bright spirit soul, and bring that into focus. The more we do, when we think of Srila Prabhupada, we'll feel his presence, we'll feel his love. And even I can do that. And my first wife, she called me a misanthrope, means someone who hates people. I was the most bitter, cold-hearted, pessimistic. I'm trying to think of pessimistic. What's that word? The person can't see the positive in anything.
Empathetic?
Something like that. There's a better word. Not pessimistic, but
Narcissist.
Negative. So I had such a negative view, always critical, always finding fault. That's happiness in the mode of ignorance. The false ego wants to raise itself by putting someone else down. It relishes finding fault in people. That's happiness in the mode of ignorance. So yeah. So we have to elevate ourselves and learn to be very bright to be a devotee. Very bright. So chant and be happy. Approach Krishna, approach Srila Prabhupada with joyful enthusiasm. It's the measure of how much we accept the reality of Krishna consciousness. So even a hard-hearted, but we can learn. There are ways, if one is interested. Srila Prabhupada didn't teach like that. Primarily, he taught just be devotional, and Srila Prabhupada taught be devotional, and you'll experience the joy of Krishna consciousness. But at the same time, he attacked it from the other end. Come up to the mode of goodness, develop the qualities of the Brahman, of inner peace, of inner joy, of having a natural desire for the welfare of others. Serving mood comes in, and because a Brahmin can become a self-centered person can never become a Vaishnava, because it's either, you can't love God and mammon. It says in the Bible, you can't love God and Maya. if we want to satisfy our false ego and our senses, we can't feel devotion. So So we have to become very bright and very positive and engage, and it's in the nectar of instruction, utsahan, enthusiasm. And the next thing, confidence, not in ourselves, but in the process. That means faith. Faith that this is a reality. Enthusiasm, I'm going for it. Joyfulness is something to be happy about. And to that degree, that's called acceptance. That's why Srila Prabhupada says the Krishna consciousness is only a matter of understanding and accepting. So that's real acceptance. It's not, I like this philosophy. It's logical and it's aesthetically pleasing to consider these things. Real acceptance is joyful enthusiasm. That's acceptance. It's accepting it, the reality of it in our heart. It's really something it's an invitation to come back to the spiritual world, or even to know it now while we're in this body. So how much Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in his Brahma Samhita says that the most important aspect or quality for realization is faith. Then if you have, like a child, total acceptance that it's a reality, to that degree you'll experience it. These explanations are there to help us to understand, to move into this consciousness. It's only a question of understanding and accepting. And Srila Prabhupada said one can do it in a second. And it's simple for the simple. Trying to understand Krishna consciousness intellectually, by logic, you can be a jnani, bahunam janmanam ante. After many, many lifetimes, one realizes that they have to become a lover of God. After trying to figure it out logically, but if we're simple, Srila Prabhupada says it's simple for the simple, and one can do it in a second. You don't have to be a big philosopher or a big brain. You just have to be able to open your heart. So we hear these things, so we should have to, each of us has to think about it and remember these things. And the measure of our acceptance, it's only a matter of understanding of it and accepting, and the measure of our acceptance is how much we take it up with joyful enthusiasm. So then we should try that, make experiment when we're chanting Hare Krishna, chanting our japa. Are we chanting with joyful enthusiasm? Or Srila Prabhupada makes one purport I have written on my computer, copied, that, he says, I have this job to do, this duty, he says, to chant Hare Krishna. It's my duty. He says, then he imitates on the lecture. He says, no, he says, Priti, with love. Not that I have I have to do my rounds. Do it with joyful enthusiasm. It means you're happy to be there. What kind of reciprocation are you going to get if it's something that you have to do? I have to do this to finish my rounds. This is Srila Prabhupada makes jokes sometimes. He says, he said to Shruti Kirti, who was his personal servant, he said one day, there, I finished my rounds. Now I can do any damn thing. He used those exact words. But if we do it with joyful enthusiasm, so that it's a choice. It's up to us at every moment how much we want to embrace Krishna consciousness.
We see that Srila Prabhupada, he he did not have to pretend. He was just living Krishna consciousness. He was manifesting that. We, as transactional beings, we have to think about these things and then make it into practice and cultivate consciousness.
Cultivate. That's why it's cultivate.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, we
But
have to.
in his association,
Yes.
it becomes much easier to cultivate because his energy overcomes ours. It's like if you put, I studied in physics, a piece of metal near a magnet, the magnet induces a charge in the other piece of metal. It's called induction. The energy so that's why the whole way to become a devotee is actually to associate with a pure devotee, because you become infected with his devotional quality, or your heart reflects his devotional quality, or it's induction, or call it whatever you want. But when we used to do drugs as a young person in college and university, they said that if you associate with somebody who's high on psychedelics, they got a contact high. Even if you're not taking psychedelics, to be with someone who's under the influence of psychedelics, it would influence your mind. In the same, we get a contact high from Srila Prabhupada, the highest high. Get a contact. So that, in other words, what we're talking about, how to bring this into focus, this joyfulness, if we really learn how to associate with him, our hearts will become infected with his joy. That's how we really learn to be a devotee. But in order to contact him, we have to be a certain amount open heart and approach him with joyful enthusiasm to the degree that we can. And when we sense his joy, it augments our joy. And then when we use that joy to cultivate our Krishna consciousness, he is for his pleasure. He becomes pleased. He reveals more of his joy to us. And it just keeps growing like that. And so Srila Prabhupada says, from the lowest stage to the highest stage, all the different stages develop because of the association. It's all subjective instruction. It's all learning from him. What is this Krishna consciousness? So we need some opening of the heart in order to approach him. And then once we approach him, we can get more from him. It's just like if you go to the gambling house, Las Vegas, the goal of playing some of the gambling games like blackjack or slot machines or a roulette wheel, the goal is to make money. By associating with the gamblers, you can make money. But if you don't bring money to the table, you can't gamble. So the goal is to make money, but you need money to make money. In spiritual life, the goal is love of Krishna. But you need to approach the teacher with love in order to get more love. You go into business. The goal of the business is to make money, but you need startup capital. You need money to make money. So in the Krishna consciousness, you need to have enough love to begin to play the game. And then you can approach the person who can share love with you. You approach the pure devotee with love in your heart. And you can begin to learn from him what real love is. So he says, knock, and the door will be open. It's not like the pure devotees are hiding for us. They're waiting for us to approach them. It's only a matter of understanding and accepting, he says. So the measure of our acceptance is to approach him with joyful enthusiasm. But it's always our choice. So a little bit I'm learning like this is why I'm talking like this. Tiny bit I'm learning like this is why I'm talking. Because I used to go to, for 12 years I lived with devotees in temples. So every class they said, you follow the formula, one day you'll have love of God. And I believed it, but it's not in the books. It's not I can supply you all these different quotes, that it's all about learning from someone. You have to get subjective, learn love from the spiritual master who has Krishna in his heart. And then he influences your heart. And in this way, subjective instruction. The whole Krishna consciousness is about association with the pure devotee. It's not about completing the formula or the checklist. It's not. It's about those activities are there as the medium through which we cultivate our love. It's not that by doing them we'll have love, or by doing them we'll have realization. It's by, it's not, when I have realization, I'll have love, they think. But the reality is when I have love, I'll have realization. 180 degrees. It's not that when I do all these things and have realization, then I'll have love. It's when I have love, then I'll have realization. And so even in our temples, they're teaching the process backwards. It's not that when I have realization that I'll have love. It's when I have love, then, and Krishna says, Bhaktya mama bhijanati. I do not reveal myself to any. And we relate to our spiritual master just as we would relate to Krishna. And that's in a Vaishnava, that's in the Shastra. Shakshad haritvi samasta Shastra. Yuktasta tabhavyata kintu pravoja priya bande garo srichar. I worship him just as I would worship the Supreme Lord, because he's the most confidential servant of the Lord. This is written in all the revealed scriptures and is preached by all the authoritative teachers. Therefore, I bow down to my. We relate to Srila Prabhupada as we would relate to Krishna. Bhaktya mama bhijanati. I do not reveal myself to anyone until they approach me with love. Srila Prabhupada will reveal his love of Krishna to us as we approach him with love. It's such a beautiful philosophy, but it's not being taught this way. At least I never heard anyone teach it that way. But it's in our books. And Srila Prabhupada drops these comments here and there, talking sarcastically about those disciples who are keeping the formula, waiting for something to happen, keeping the formula 10 years, 20 years, but they're dry. Just like the vice president of the Vancouver temple told me. He's my friend. He was my friend. He said, I quit. It didn't work for me. I kept the formula and it didn't work for me. Nothing changed. So he stopped being a devotee because he didn't understand the process.
A lot of these words like love of Godhead, Krishna consciousness, prema bhakti, priya eva tasya, these words are synonymous, but we have a very meager understanding of these transcendental words.
Therefore, Srila Prabhupada uses the word. Srila Prabhupada hackneyed. We use it, but we don't even really contemplate deeply what does this mean. You know, I'm not this body.
Yeah.
I'm not this mind.
Right. So these basics are missing. They read the books, but they don't have a clear understanding of the words, or we don't have a clear understanding of the words ourselves.
Preface of Bhagavad Gita.
One should read the Bhagavad Gita very scrutinizingly with the help of a person who is a devotee of Sri Krishna.
Listen to this preface. The last sentence in the preface of the Bhagavad Gita is introduction. Preface.
So the philosophy is very high, but we have very low understanding.
We hope, therefore, that people will derive the greatest benefit by studying Bhagavad Gita as it is, as we have presented it here. And if even one man becomes a pure devotee of the Lord, if even one man, we hope that people will derive the greatest benefit. And if even one man becomes a pure devotee of the Lord, we shall consider our attempt a success. In other words, he knows it's very, very rare that any of us will actually, if even one person actually can take up this path and come close to the real devotee who can and become infected with his qualities of devotion, he'll consider the whole thing a success. So, and he would always say, just one moon, because the moon reflects the light of the sun. Prema Bhakti, from him this Krishna consciousness emanates, love of Krishna. If we can receive it, we can reflect it. It can towards Krishna. So, but Srila Prabhupada is saying that his expectation is not so great. He says, Lord Chaitanya's mercy is like an inundation. He says, not everyone will drown in that love of God, but at least they can float a little. So not many will become drowned in love of God, but by practicing, it can make our life very nice. This life on planet Earth, and we can go from one lifetime to the next, incrementally increasing. But it's very, very rare. That's in Nectar of Devotion, the qualities in Nectar of Devotion, of pure devotional characteristics of pure devotional service. The first one, pure devotional service, number 4, is very rarely achieved. It's very rarely achieved. I'm looking for, are there, all auspicious. Looking for rare. In the preliminary phase of spiritual life, there are different kinds of austerities and penances and similar processes for attaining self-realization. However, even if an executor, someone who's executing the path of these processes, even if he's without any material desire, still he can't achieve devotional service, even a liberated. And aspiring by oneself alone to achieve devotional service is also not very hopeful, because Krishna does not agree to award devotional service to merely anyone. Krishna can easily offer a person material happiness, even liberation, but he does not agree very easily to award a person engagement in his devotional service. And we sing, Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasad. If we can please the pure devotee, then we can please Krishna. Devotional service can in fact be attained only through the mercy of a pure devotee. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 19 chapter, verse 151 says, by the mercy of the spiritual master, who's a pure devotee, and by the mercy of Krishna, one can achieve this platform of devotional service. Next sentence, there is no other way. We have to come close to Srila Prabhupada, thick, intimate, heart to heart, and personal relation. The rarity of devotional service is also confirmed in Tantra Shastra, where Lord Shiva says to Sati, my dear Sati, if one is a very fine philosopher, analyzing the different processes of knowledge, he can achieve liberation from material entanglement by performance of ritualistic sacrifices recommended in the Vedas. One can be elevated to the platform of pious activities and thereby enjoy material comforts of life to the fullest extent. But all such endeavors can hardly offer anyone devotional service to the Lord, not even if one tries for it by the process for many, many thousands of births. Next sentence, in the Bhagavatam, it's confirmed by Prahlad Maharaj that merely by personal effort or instruction of higher authority, one cannot attain the stage of devotion. One must become blessed by the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee who is completely freed from the contamination of material desire. So here, again, another quote, that there is no other way, Srila Prabhupada. It must, so what is that mercy? From him, this love of Krishna emanates. One association is like a crystal stone. Then our heart can reflect one must become infected with the devotion of the pure devotee, which means one must imbibe the taste of devotion from one who has the devotion, which means one must have a heart-to-heart connection with someone who has Krishna in their heart. One reference after another reference after another reference. Oh, I've spoken too long. So, but I just want to share that because I know that other devotees wanted it just like I wanted or more than I wanted, but they're not hearing this. We have to have a personal relationship with Srila Prabhupada, and we have to become his intimate disciples in a heart-to-heart manner so that we can imbibe from him the taste of devotion. I shouldn't make this too long.
Ramachandra Prabhu, did you finish all your comments or did you want to say more?
No, my comments are finished, but I'll make more comments next program.
Okay. Good
Hare-
luck.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Right.
Okay. Ishan,
Okay.
Prabhu, thank you again for your patience, tolerance, and wonderful, deep, honest answers. They're really helpful for us.
It's only it's my lack that I can't share this in a way that someone else can grab it. But I'm
Yeah.
talking about the things that I have to hear.
We're getting it.
Okay, then I'm grateful to you.
More desire to be closer and more intimate with Prabhupada.
Yeah. My wife is bringing a big hook. She's going to pull me.
She needs a part of you also.
Oh, right. Hare Krishna.
Okay, take care. Have a wonderful day.
Jai.
Ramachandra, thank you for your association. See you next Tuesday. Take care.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Prabhupada.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.